He who is not a good servant will not be a good master.
What this quote is implying is that if you are a bad servant, you won't be inclined to become a good master. This is because as a bad servant your behavior would have been unfavorable, and it is unlikely that your behavior will change simply because you are now the master. As a good servant, however, you will not only do the work, but know the work that needs to be done. As such, you will appreciate the work that's done. So when you've spent time willingly serving, learning, and understanding, you will or should become a good master.
A good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers.
What this quote is saying is, numbers alone will not help you make a good decision. Numbers by themselves, without context, are useless and serve no real purpose. Other information is needed to ensure it is so. Depending on what you are trying to make a decision, the more knowledge you have or seek before you decide, the better your decisions will be.
There is no harm in repeating a good thing.
In this quote, it is obvious what Plato is referring to. Once a good thing is done, there is a feeling of positive emotions that ensues. This effect is felt by the person who is doing the good thing, and the person who receives the benefit of it. So, if it is repeated often, it will always be a welcome experience for all.
Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning, rather than wisdom.
In this quote, Plato is referring to the fact that there are no rules or justice built into knowledge. Assuming that justice refers to a proper and beneficial use, as opposed to an improper or harmful use of knowledge. Then, just as a fire can be used to warm you from the cold, it can also be used to hurt you. The fire is void of any justice, it's those who use it that possess morals, or lack them. If you put knowledge to good use, you will be considered wise. But if you put knowledge to ill use, you will be thought of as devious and cunning. So, the knowledge remains the same, it is the use it is put to that determines the label you place on it.
The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. To be conquered by yourself is of all things most shameful and vile.
This quote is referring to discipline, and specifically, self-discipline. It begins by saying that the first and greatest victory is in the conquering of yourself. It's not only the greatest victory, but also the first victory. So, if you have not yet achieved some higher level of self-discipline or self-mastery, then nothing else is of consequence. The quote continues by saying that being conquered by your having no self-discipline is nothing but shameful, and of all fates to befall you, it is the most vile. The world is filled with examples of people who lacked the necessary self-discipline and found themselves in bad situations. The lesson here is, always be in control of yourself.
If a man neglects education, he walks lame to the end of his life.
If you are to prosper in life, you need some knowledge of the world at large. If you neglect to learn something that will benefit you in life, such as a usable skill, how to feed yourself, personal care, then your progress through life will be very difficult. According to Plato, you may be able to get by for a while, but you will not progress as quickly as you could have otherwise. Hence, your education is very important if you want to have the life you dream of. Never neglect it.
Good actions give strength to ourselves and inspire good actions in others.
This quote is in part about leading by doing, in particular doing good deeds. When you do so repeatedly, you begin to strengthen yourself. Your strength will arise from constantly repeating the behavior, like building a muscle, and also by doing so naturally. It also advises you that, In doing so, you will be a good example to others.
The measure of a man is what he does with power.
Considered one of Plato's best quotes that you can remember. It speaks to what a man does once he has power. The manner in which he wields that power says a lot about the kind of person he is. His character will come out in his actions. It's easy for you to believe that you will be a certain way once you have the power. You may have good intentions, but once you are in power, your actions will determine your true intentions.
Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow.
You likely have heard or read the phrase, "Slow and steady wins the race." But in today's fast-paced world, doing things quickly is often seen as a key component of achieving success. Many people believe that everyone should be progressing at the same or similar speed. You are not anyone else, and your rate of achievement or progress will not match anyone else's. What is more important in life is that you are making progress. Do not be that person that discourages others simply because they are moving at a slower rate. Praise them for what they have accomplished so far and encourage them to continue on.
Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something.
This quote is telling you that if you want to be considered a wise man, always choose to speak only when you have something that is of value to say or to contribute. It implies that some thought goes into what a wise man says before he speaks, ensuring that it is of some value to whomever is listening. On the other hand, if you speak for no reason, and without thought, you are likely to be viewed as a fool.
Ideas are the source of all things.
This quote puts forth the idea that everything you see and in some ways feel springs from your ideas. Your ideas come from your imagination. Before you create anything, you must first conceive in your mind, no matter what it is. As such, a criminal and a businessman are both using the same weapon for completely different goals. So it is important for you to cultivate a mindset that is positive and good. This will bring forth positive things in your life.
Our need will be the real creator.
This quote is often stated as necessity is the mother of invention. When there is great need for a solution to a problem, sooner or later, something is invented or created that will address it in some way or completely. We see it in history. When man was tired of using a horse and carriage, a motor car was invented.